sports? Do you like beer? Do you love sports and beer? Then you're exactly where you need to be. This is the Huebs Views Brews show on 1252 Sports Chicago. Cheers.
How is everyone doing on this rainy Monday night? Fred Huebner with you, Huebs Views and Brews. I was glad I was able to do tonight's show at 7 o'clock because the White Sox were scheduled to play Game 4. We didn't know if there'd be a Game 4 until Sunday when the White Sox took care of those pesky Houston Astros. But there was going to be a Game 4 earlier today. That game was rained out. They knew ahead of time it was going to rain. Good call by them. They will play it on Tuesday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So a lot of people will be listening to this podcast after the game has already gotten underway or is already over. So if it's already over, hopefully the White Sox won and they will play another game on Wednesday back at Minute Maid. So we're going to talk a lot of White Sox baseball. The Bears get a road victory, their first road victory of the season. They are now 3-2, and they got the Green Bay Packers coming to town. Oh, my Lord. Talk about a weird game. The Green Bay-Cincinnati game with 5 missed field goals. Come on. And then there were 11 extra points missed yesterday. 11 extra points in the National Football League. So, they tried to move it back because they said it was automatic. Well, not so much anymore, apparently. So we'll talk a little football. The Bears win. Fields, everybody, I'm sure, had their hearts in their throats when they saw Justin Fields hyperextend his left knee and go out for a while. Andy Dalton came in, but Fields came right back out after that. There were some injuries in the game for the Bears, but we'll get into some Bears talk with FatMike. He'll join us in just a little while. We want to talk some baseball, but it is Huebs Views and Brews, and I was looking in my fridge for beers to grab. I saw some Miskatonic beers. I saw some other locals. I saw the Huebner beer, which is very, very tasty. And you can pick it up at Nick and Ivy, and it's a American IPA. I had a people in my cul-de-sac here in Downers Grove had a little get together the other day, and I brought a couple 4-packs of the Huebner out there, and they were all sampling it, and we got a good response to all of them. So you can pick that up at Nick and Ivy. But I'm drinking, and I may have had this already on the podcast. It is a New Glarus Oktoberfest beer. It's called Staghorn Oktoberfest beer from New Glarus. My girlfriend Linda and I were up in Door County a while ago, and we grabbed some New Glarus beer. And so I've got some. Wanted to make sure I tasted it. Oktoberfest, technically Oktoberfest is over. It runs the last 2 weeks of September, first week of October in Germany. But here in the States, we don't care. As long as it's October, give us an Oktoberfest beer, give us sausage and pretzels and whatever else you're going to give us. So I wanted to drink one of these tonight. It's a very tasty Oktoberfest beer. New Glarus makes nothing but great beers, and that's one of the nice things. Anytime you go up to Wisconsin, if you tell any of your beer drinking friends you're going there, they'll definitely ask you to bring some New Glarus back, one kind or another. Spotted Cow, their big one. And they have one called Two Women. They got a bunch of different beers, all very, very tasty. So I'm glad I had that one. I've got a couple other beers aside because I'm watching baseball tonight. I don't really care about the Colts and the Ravens, but I'll probably watch some of that also later on this evening. But first things first, let's talk some White Sox baseball, because talk about aggravating, talk about frustrating, talk about just, defeated. Not only the team, but the fans and everybody. The way the White Sox started this American League Division Series in Houston was aggravating, frustrating. It was every word you can throw out there. Lance Lynn, who had a terrible record against the Astros the last several years, was bad. The White Sox bats were worse. Lance McCullers was shutting them down, and the White Sox dropped the opener 6-1. Then they come back in the second game. Lucas Giolito. Everybody was yelling after game 1 when I was doing the post-game show on ESPN 1000. Why wasn't Michael Kopech in? Why isn't Michael Kopech coming in game 2? Well, they were saving Michael Kopech, it looked like, for game 4. Well, unfortunately, if you don't win a game or something, you're not going to get a chance to see him. As it turned out, we saw Michael Kopech on Sunday night in game 3. But in game 2, the White Sox, again, can't do anything. They lose by a final of 9-4. They do get 11 hits, all singles. They had 7 hits in the first game, all singles. They went into game 3 with 18 hits, all of them singles. This White Sox team hit a lot of homers in the second half of the season. That's how they won a lot of games. They're not a singles hitting team. They're not a team that puts things together. They didn't on games 1 and 2. Game 3 rolls around, a blackout game. There's a video going around that the White Sox put out with Lucas Giolito in the dugout talking to some of the other players when they're getting ready to turn the lights off at Guaranteed Rate Field before game 3. It's very, very cool. If you get a chance to see it on Twitter or on Facebook, it's awesome. I've reposted it on Twitter. I look for it on Facebook. Haven't found it. If I do, I'll put it up there also. But very, very cool. The fans were crazy. The fans were wild. Jose Altuve leading off the game, and they had a nice little chant going. Fuck Altuve. So, yeah, Tony La Russa was asked to comment on it today, and he said, hey, it's a free country. They can do whatever they'd like to do. And but yeah, it was very, very loud last night. I know the fans were yelling it as they were leaving Guaranteed Rate Field after the White Sox got a victory. But the White Sox take a 1-0 lead in the first inning, and then they give up 5 runs. Dylan Cease, who retired the side in the first inning, comes out and walks the leadoff man in the second inning, Yordan Alvarez. Now, if you're watching the game and you didn't keep track of the other games, or you may have just missed this, I did it first. All 3 of the White Sox starting pitchers, Lance Lynn, also Lucas Giolito, and Dylan Cease, went 1-2-3 in the first inning. They put down the Astros in order. And then in the second inning, all 3 pitchers, Lance Lynn, Lucas Giolito, and Dylan Cease, walked Yordan Alvarez. The White Sox starting pitchers, got my notes right here. White Sox starters went 9 2/3 innings, allowing 12 runs, 10 walks. 7 of those walks scored. Technically, you can say 8 of them scored because one of the walks was then forced at second base on a fielder's choice. That fielder's choice came around to score. So the fielder's choice, if there wasn't a walk, he would have been an out. So anyway, you can technically say 8 of the 10 walks scored. Going into the series, I did not expect the White Sox starting pitching to be the problem. I expected their hitting and striking out too often. Well, they didn't hit in the first 2 games, and they did strike out. They only struck out 6 times in the opener. They struck out 11 times in the second game. Among them, Leury Garcia striking out. Andrew Vaughn has struggled. Tim Anderson he didn't give any hits in the first game, but Anderson has played 6 playoff games. In 5 of the 6, he has 3 hit games. Pretty damned amazing to have 16 hits in the first 6 playoff games that you've ever played in your major league career. Anderson's bringing it. And yesterday, the White Sox, even though they went down 5-1, and that place was jumping, I'm sitting there watching the game. It was so exciting. And then all of a sudden, you're trailing 5-1. But the White Sox came back, and they did it quickly. A walk to Luis Robert, Abreu strikes out, and then Yasmani Grandal goes deep, opposite way, hits a home run. 1 out later, Moncada and Sheets single, and Leury Garcia. That's right, Leury Garcia, who's been struggling, who really needed a good game, who had an awful play in the outfield at Minute Maid, that the ball that Adam Engel would have had, and he didn't get it, and that actually allowed a lot more runs for the Astros. Well, Leury Garcia hits a 3-run homer. The White Sox with a 5 spot in the third. The Astros come right back to tie it in the 4th inning, but the White Sox get 3 more runs. In the 3rd and 4th innings on Sunday, the White Sox sent 17 batters to the plate and scored 8 runs. That's the White Sox we know. Now, after that, nothing happened for the next 3 innings. And then the White Sox pushed a couple more runs across in the 8th to make this one a blowout. Final score 12-6. The White Sox stay alive, and they have played game 4 now on Tuesday at 1 o'clock at Guaranteed Rate Field. But we got to see Michael Kopech. Kopech went 2 1/3, gave up 3 runs, 4 hits. He struck out 5, but the White Sox pitchers struck out 16 hitters. Okay. Let me see. Let's make sure that remembers. Yep, 16 hitters. Dylan Cease struck out 2, and then it was Michael Kopech with 5. Then in the 5th inning, Ryan Tepera came in. Now, I have some brothers who are big White Sox fans. My brother Tim listens to the podcast a lot. He may be listening now. And my brother Tim hates any trade that the White Sox make with the Cubs because he hates the Cubs. So you look at it, Ryan Tepera comes in. The first game Ryan Tepera pitched for the White Sox, he was brutal. Gave up a home run. First game, Kimbrel was pitching. He pitched very bad, and Kimbrel didn't do very well at Minute Maid either in game 2. But Ryan Tepera comes in the 5th inning in game 3. Tepera goes 2 innings. Aaron Bummer goes an inning and 2/3. Kimbrel comes in for a third of an inning. Liam Hendriks comes in for an inning, the 9th inning, to put the game away in the 12-6 win. The Astros did not get on base in the last 5 innings of the game. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Not one guy on base. They struck out a lot. Tepera got 3 guys to strike out. Bummer struck out 4 in a row out of the 5 he faced. Kimbrel got a ground out, and then it was Liam Hendriks striking out 2 of the 3 he faced in the 9th inning. That's the bullpen we were expecting to have all season long. People kept saying the starting pitching is going to be really good. The bullpen is going to be one of the best in baseball. We saw that at times. We saw it with Liam Hendriks, but he also gave up some homers. We have not seen it since Kimbrel came over. Tepera has gotten better after his first couple of outings in a White Sox uniform. Aaron Bummer, every time Aaron Bummer comes in, if he looks sweaty on the mound, I'm sweatier watching him because I'm as nervous as can be because Aaron Bummer, he's got a tremendous slider, but he also walks people usually because some of these guys will take his pitches. And I would think if you go to the plate against Aaron Bummer and don't swing the bat, you'll walk. Very few of his pitches seem to be over the strike zone, but they all look good. And because of that, he's usually a very, very good relief pitcher. He was good the other day, as I said, 4 strikeouts out of the 5 batters he faced, but the White Sox bullpen was tremendous. The last time the White Sox, the last time the White Sox won a postseason game when their starter didn't complete 2 innings goes all the way back to 1917. The 1917 World Series, Reb Russell, he was pulled after 2 hits and a walk in the first inning, and the White Sox came back to win in 1917. Dylan Cease goes just 1 2/3 innings. Dylan Cease, like I said, 1, 2, 3 in the first inning. He strikes out Bregman with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball to end the first inning. Second inning starts, he's got Yordan Alvarez. He's got 2 strikes on him and throws a pitch that Tom Hallion, the umpire behind the plate, calls a ball. On the K-Zone on TV, the entire ball is inside the box. And Dylan Cease, throughout his career with the White Sox, has not been able to get over little mistakes and little bad calls that are made by umpires. And after that, Dylan Cease walked Correa. Tucker got a double, driving in 2 runs, 1 out later. Myers single, driving in another. And that was enough. Tony La Russa in game 3, an elimination game for the White Sox, could not hang around and wait. So Michael Kopech came in. Kopech gave up the 2-run homer in the 3rd, also gave up a run in the 4th, but he kept it at least close. The White Sox actually, the last base runner they allowed was with 1 out or 2 outs, 2 outs in the 4th inning. And nobody else got on base after that. So it was a fun game. It was a game the White Sox needed, obviously. It's a best of 5. You're down 2-0. You needed to win game 3 to force a game 4, and they did that. I was very, very happy to see that. Some other notes on the game. I'm looking here through my my scorecard, my score book. It's actually a book I got from Bob Carpenter, a guy that actually has done Cardinals games forever. He puts out this sports book that a lot of the broadcasters use that call games in the major leagues. And I bought one of these back in 2007. And I was telling my guy FatMike that I've got some games in here from 2007, 2000. Here's one: Detroit and the White Sox, July 23rd, 2007. And so every once in a while, I pull it out for big games, big series. And I wanted to pull it out for the American League Division Series since I'm doing post-game shows over on ESPN 1000. So the White Sox, I mentioned Tim Anderson, and it's great to see, especially at home, to see Anderson get on base right off the bat. He singles to right field in the first inning. 2 outs later, Grandal walks, and then Jimenez gets a single to right, scoring the White Sox first run. That, along with the crowd, got everything going. But the crowd stuck around even after the Astros got 5 runs and took a 5-1 lead. Sox came back to take a 6-5 lead. The Astros tied it at 6. But when the White Sox were scoring their runs and taking a big lead, Tony La Russa talked after the game about how amazing it was. And the players in the stands were saying, nobody's left. Well, no one's going to leave a playoff game when you have a chance to win a playoff game because they want to be there to celebrate. And it was a Sunday night. Some people had today off for Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day, whatever they were getting the day off for. And the game didn't end until about 11:30 or 11:40. It started at 7:07, okay? Or actually, it started at 6:07, sorry. The game went 4 hours and 27 minutes. It did start at 7:07. The game went 4 hours, 27 minutes. They went 2.5 hours for 4 innings and 15 runs. It was a long, long-ass game. And people say, oh, look. But if you're watching it as a fan and you're excited and you're pumped up, people I know that talked on the postgame said it didn't seem that long. Well, you were there forever. And you probably had to make a lot of trips to the bathroom because Lord knows I was just watching it on TV and had to make 2 or 3. So the White Sox do get an opportunity now, game 4 on Tuesday. And it'll be Carlos Rodon. Rodon had come to Tony La Russa before game 3 and said, I can go today. And La Russa kind of laughed and said, listen, we got you set for game 4. We're going to hope to win game 3. Then we can use you. Apparently, Rodon was available in the bullpen for game 3 if they needed him. So was Lance Lynn. The question is, if they win game 4 and they go back to Minute Maid, who do the White Sox throw? Lance Lynn's got terrible numbers against the Astros. The Astros were a fastball hitting team. Lucas Giolito didn't pitch very well either. So I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do, but I know first things first. You got to win game 4 before you can get to game 5. So hopefully Rodon can throw well. He had a nice little start earlier this year against the Houston Astros. Got it here. His last start against Houston was July 18th, went 7 innings, allowed 1 hit, 10 strikeouts. In 2 games this year against the Astros, he's got a 0.64 ERA in those 2 games. He's going up against Lance McCullers. Now, it was going to be Jose Urquidy going in game 4, but once the rainout happened and there was an extra day's rest, Dusty Baker, the manager of the Astros, decided that we're going to go with Lance McCullers. Lance has shut him down, and man, oh man, has he shut him down. Lance McCullers 3-0 against the White Sox this season. They have all kinds of problems hitting his curve and his slider. He's very, very good against both sides of the plate. So I can't wait for game 4. It'll be very interesting. A 107 first pitch on Tuesday at Guaranteed Rate Field. Some other numbers before we get to some football talk. This is the first time in the playoffs that there has not been a sweep in the division series since 2015. Which, thank goodness, the White Sox were the only ones that could have been swept, and they weren't. Teams that score first in the playoffs this year are 10-3. And I look over and I see that Boston's got a 5 spot in the 4th inning of their game with Tampa. They're about ready to eliminate the Tampa Bay Rays, the best team in baseball in the American League. Teams that out-homer the opponent, 11-0. The White Sox out-homered the opponent the other day. The Astros had 1 homer. The White Sox had 2. And 47.7% of the runs scored so far in the playoffs are via the home run. Earlier today, Jock Peterson using an Anthony Rizzo bat hits a 3-run pinch hit homer, and the Atlanta Braves beat the Brewers down in Atlanta. And how about ex-Cubs, right? You've got first playoff games, you have Schwarber, Rizzo, and Bryant all hitting home runs, and now you have Jock Peterson hitting one with a bat from Anthony Rizzo. So, and yeah, my guy Jim out in Aurora, Lynn will be available after Rodon if Rodon goes a few innings. Michael Kopech, who pitched and threw 47 pitches in the game on Sunday night, will not be available from what we understand for the next 2 days. So he wouldn't have been available today, and he's not available in game 4. But I would think Michael Kopech and everybody would be available on game 5 if, in fact, there was one. Kurt gets to me and he says, hey, will being off today hurt the momentum? And I was asking that question last night, and also if people have confidence in Carlos Rodon going. In baseball, there's a phrase and saying they use that in baseball, momentum is the next day's pitcher. So the Astros have to feel real good because the Astros have Lance McCullers, who's 3-0 against the White Sox this year, where the White Sox have Carlos Rodon, and they have no idea really what to expect from Rodon. His fastball velocity has been down. Instead of 96, 97, 98, it's been 92, 93. So we'll see. He's a crafty lefty. You can only be crafty if you're a lefty. You can't be a crafty right-handed pitcher. So we'll see how things go for the White Sox when they take on the Astros on Tuesday. Obviously hoping for a win there. And then Wednesday, it would be an evening game on Wednesday. Back in Minute Maid, see if the White Sox can shock the world and win 3 straight from the Astros. Let me grab a sip of beer before we talk some football. It was a long day for me on Sunday. Yeah, I know. I'm going to complain, right? I work on the radio. I sit on my ass and talk and watch TV. But I got to the radio station at 2:30 because the Bears played at 3:05, sat there, watched the Bears game, then watched the entire baseball game, then did about an hour and 10 minutes on the radio. So, listen, you just got to get lucky. You got to get lucky in the careers you pick. But I did get a chance to watch the entire Bears game as I grabbed my notes and bring in my guy, Fat Mike, because I'm sure he was watching it, probably living and dying with the Bears and everything that Matt Nagy does in the sidelines. Mike, what's going on?
What's going on, Freddie? Thank you so much for having me, man. How we doing?
I'm doing okay. So first of all, how did you feel when Justin Fields' knee went looked like hyperextended, and all of a sudden he limps to the sideline?
Man, that was not fun. That was not fun at all. I swear I could feel my heartbeat in my throat. I was like, oh no. So many things went through my head at that specific moment. I was like, okay, well, we got Andy Dalton coming in. We know he's back and healthy. But please don't let this be an extended period of time because I don't want to see Andy Dalton. Because I've been saying this for weeks. The same games we're going to lose with Andy Dalton are the same games we're going to lose with Justin Fields.
Right.
Okay. Like they really are. We're going to lose those games regardless. Okay. But I'd much rather have Justin Fields in a loss make mistakes and learn and grow than have Andy Dalton make the same mistakes because it's a mistake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those type of deals. But yeah, no, when he hyperextended that knee, it looked like a hyperextension of the knee. I was not a happy camper at all. I was very, very, very scared.
Yeah, I know some other people. I know Tom Waddle earlier today saw it, and he said that looked like an injury where everything in your knee is gone. And
Yes.
As it turns out, he was better. He came back out there. Now, he's not throwing the ball a lot. 12 for 20, 111 yards. But the Bears, it was funny. You think that David Montgomery's not there. They're going to run Davian Williams. He ran 16 carries, 64 yards. But they told us, and I don't know how excited they were until David Montgomery got hurt, but they told us they were excited about Khalil Herbert. Right. I'm excited about him. The guy looks like he can find holes. He looks like the offensive line actually did a really good job blocking for him and opening up holes. I liked watching the running game against the Raiders the other day.
Yeah, no, Khalil Herbert's an absolute stud. There was a lot of talk coming of him coming out of Kansas and Vatek. I mean, he's one of those guys that can make people miss.
Yeah,
he really is. He has the speed to make people miss, and that's one thing that I especially at Vatek, that everybody noticed. When I don't know if you follow too much college football, Freddie, but I mean I do, and I'm not a lot of it, but I focus on the players that do stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
That are good.
Right.
That you immediately see him. It's like that kid's going to be a star. And Khalil Herbert was definitely one of those guys. He was in. I want to say it was from 2017, and he transferred to Vatek in late last year in 2020.
Okay.
But I mean, it's just speed out of nowhere. I mean, straight. I mean, either which way, either uphill, downhill, like the downhill runner, and he can create space and just boom, right off the edge, right off your tackles, and create a lot of room and just get that extra step on those outside linebackers, on those defensive ends. He has it.
Yeah.
And when they took him off, and I knew exactly what it was last week when David Montgomery went down with that hip, and they traded a 6th-round pick for Jakeem Grant, Khalil Herbert immediately off. I mean, it took no time.
No.
It was maybe 20 minutes after they signed Khalil, after they traded for Jakeem Grant, that Khalil Herbert was off the kickoffs. Boom, done.
Yeah.
We are moving him. Now he's going to be our running back. And last week it showed.
Yeah.
This past week it showed 18 carries, 75 yards. He could have had a touchdown, should have had a touchdown.
Sure.
He was just awesome. He's unbelievable.
Yeah. And you know what? Everybody in Chicago, even much younger than you, we love running backs. I still say Gale Sayers the best I ever saw. Everybody loved Walter Payton. You had Neil Anderson fans. You had all that kind of stuff. And it's great because you see what David Montgomery was able to do so far this year when he was healthy. Now he's going to be out for a few weeks, but it's nice to see that Khalil Herbert and Williams ran the ball well too. He ran hard, and the nice part was the offensive line was actually opening up some holes for him. And Jason Peters doesn't always make great plays, but when a small safety or corner comes up, there's a nice shot of him planting a guy yesterday, number 24 for the Raiders, because he was going out on the edge with a nice block. So it was nice. They handle a Raiders team that's struggling with various things. Earlier this year, I saw him and I said, hey, this Raiders team's getting a lot better. The last couple of games, not so much, but they had to take advantage of a situation like that. And I thought they did. The defense stepped up too. And I'm getting maybe the defense people saw yesterday will get them to stop praising Akeem Hicks so much. Other guys can play that middle role too. Travis Gibson's in there. You got Blackson in there. You have other guys that can play. And Khalil Mack had a great game. Robert Quinn's been playing his ass off. This isn't the guy we saw last year. And just because Akeem Hicks is in there, it seemed like everybody was all worried. Oh, Akeem Hicks is in there. We're going to have struggles. They didn't struggle very much without Akeem Hicks.
No, they did not. No, they did not. And like I keep on referring to this as a conversation that you and I had, and when we were talking with Mongo, where he says he calls him Muffin Top, and that's exactly what it is. And I have done synopsis over this, that definition, Muffin Top. Mongo calls him that over and over and over again, right? And what does that definition mean? Is that he's soft up top. He really is. He's soft up top, whether it be body or mind. He's soft somewhere. He's soft somewhere. And they're not missing anything. Again, yesterday, Baleel Nichols comes in, has 3 nice tackles.
Yep.
All right. I mean, that's good. Alec Ogletree again with 6 tackles. Robert Quinn, another 3 tackles. I mean, we're making up for not having him in the lineup. It's not that big of a deal. And with Tonga, Karis Tonga, I love this kid too. This kid's a stud. He clogs up the middle. He's a big body and he's mean. He's mean. And that's one thing that the Bears defense you need, especially in the defensive tackle position.
Well, and there's another guy that plays up front too, and he's mean, but he's got to be smarter. It was Mario Edwards. Yep. 2 unnecessary roughness penalties, and you can't do it. The one you got to understand, you can't push the quarterback. They're protecting quarterbacks every way they possibly can. You just can't do it. And the week before that, or 2 weeks before, defensive mistakes and penalties prolonged drives. Now they called Roquan Smith for unnecessary roughness on a hit in the end zone, which is bullshit. It's an awful call.
I thought it was bullshit too. Yeah.
I mean, what's he supposed to do? If the guy's got the ball, he's got to hit the guy and knock the ball loose. That's what he was doing. He didn't go helmet to helmet or anything like that. And so that really pissed me off. Travis Gibson's playing well. He had a sack. Houston Carson with a pick. That was nice. But you had 2 Gibsons. You had Tayshaun Gibson, Travis Gibson, and Khalil Mack, all with sacks. Now, Ifedi was injured. I heard someone say, well, you're gonna lose some things with Ifedi. I think it was Yurko earlier today. He said, what? 4 false start penalties? And,
right, exactly.
And he jumps constantly.
Right.
And I understand that the Vegas place was loud yesterday, but every time something good happened for the Bears, there were more Bears fans there than Raiders fans.
Right. And this was something that with Jermaine Ifedi coming out of Seattle when we got him, that was something that was known that he likes to jump. He's very itchy. He's very itchy. He has real quick. And I when we first got Jermaine Ifedi, I was like, okay, maybe it's because Seattle is the loudest stadium in all the NFL. Maybe that's the reason why. Whether it be offense or defense, that place is crazy at all times up there in Seattle. That place is always hopping. I figured he would maybe tone it down here, tone down the offsides penalties, and tone down, the false starts and stuff like. But no, it hasn't been. It's still it's kryptonite in his game right now. He could be one of the best tackles or guards in the game if he could just stay on the right side of the fucking ball.
Yeah, that's about it. I don't understand it. So for the game, the Bears are 6 for 13 on third down, not awful. 252 yards of offense, 109 yards of passing because you take away the one sack from his 111 yards. But they rushed the ball 37 times for 143 yards. Now, I was listening to Carmen and Yurko today, and you can do this against bad teams. And you may be able to do it against the Packers. The Packers offense, they're still trying to figure it out. Basically, their Packers offense consists of Rodgers to Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones for the most part. And Aaron Jones had a nice run early in that game, but I never saw Mason Crosby miss so many times. He probably hasn't missed that much in practice. What did he miss? 3 field goals and an extra point? I mean, it was the weirdest game I've seen. And I mentioned earlier how there were 11 missed extra points in the NFL yesterday.
Right. And I was really pulling for the Bengals yesterday, not only because the Packers are in our division, but that was my upset special of the week. And if that would have hit, I'd been 4-1 on the year.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have been 4-1
on your upset specials.
Yeah. It would have been my 4-1. I pick one every single week. I would have been 4-1 on the year. Now I'm 3-2. But really quick, Fred, before we hop off the Bears train here, I know we're still talking about them. I want to give credit to where credit's due. And I know this is going to sound stupid. This is going to sound really dumb. Okay.
Yeah.
But give some love to Pat O'Donnell yesterday as well.
Oh my God. All year long.
234 yards off 5 punts. This kid is a punting machine and does a great job on the special team side of the ball. Now, I know everybody says, there's 3 facets to every NFL game. You get the offense, you get the defense, you get the special teams. And a lot of people blow smoke up the ass with the special teams. Like, kick returns, punt returns, punting. Who gives a shit? But this kid has been awesome for 2 years now, putting opposing teams in terrible field position. And again, yesterday, 5 punts, 234 yards, 47 yards on average. I mean, he's been very good out of the ball.
He's been very good all year, and he's been helping them get, put the other guys in bad field position. And Jakeem Grant, now, I've never seen a guy take a punt from 5 yards deep in the end zone. And he took a punt out from 5 yards deep. He got it to the 18, so that wasn't too bad. And I am the guy, I'm always the guy screaming, even on kick returns, even when they had Cordero Patterson. Okay. If the ball's in the end zone, just leave it be.
Right.
The odds of you running it past the 25 are pretty remote.
Right.
They're giving you a quarter of the field just to stay in the end zone.
Right.
Just do it. But Jakeem Grant's a guy, I don't know if he was just trying to prove that they made a good deal, but I think Bears fans and probably the Bears coaches probably sat him down and said, listen, we got you for a reason. We know what you can do. You don't have to show us. Just do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Because he worried me a little bit, but I think that's going to be a big plus going forward. It's nice that they did that. You would think that Ryan Pace can make some of these moves before the season. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And make some of these moves and pickups before the year. He isn't able to. The Packer game coming up on Sunday. It's going to be the Packers have had injuries. I mean, they've got their
Jair Alexander out.
Yeah, Alexander's out. One of the Smith brothers has been out all year and not playing. That's a big help for the Bears offensive line. There's nothing better than beating the Packers, okay, and beating an Aaron Rodgers.
We don't do it often.
No, and the thing is, the Bears are there's something the Bears are never able to do. Since I was a little kid watching football, the Bears are one of the worst screen teams in the world, and they're the worst at defending the screen. And we're going to see little screen and swing passes to, whoever their running back is. If it's Jones or their backup, they just do it. They'll beat the Bears on that. But I think at Soldier Field, being home and winning a road game, that means a lot. It was the Raiders, but it had to be a lot for the team too. It's got to be really important for them to, first go to Vegas, play in an awesome stadium where more than half the fans are pulling for you. And now they know they're going to be at Soldier Field, where there is going to be a good percentage of Packer fans. There always are. but the majority will be for Bears fans. I'd love nothing more than to see them get a win on Sunday.
Well, I mean, going back to this Raiders game before the Raider game before I hop into the Packers this week, this is one of those games at the beginning of the year that I mean, I know I did at least when I was sitting there looking at the schedule. I chalked this up as a loss.
Yes,
it was like this is a loss, and these next 4 or 5 weeks are chalked up for losses at me at the beginning of the year because I knew that we were starting Andy Dalton.
You got Packers, you've got Tampa,
Bucks,
you've got San Francisco, who's struggling right now. Now they got Trey Lance is going to be out for a couple of weeks, and they don't know if Garoppolo is going to be ready or not.
Right.
They have no offensive identity right now. They don't know what they're doing. And so, yeah, they've got a tough schedule coming up. And then they got a bye coming up shortly after that, which is good.
Right. Yeah, but a much needed one after these next couple of games here. But right now, looking in preseason, looking at this 4-game stretch, 5-game stretch here, was like, oh boy, they're going to go 1-4.
Sure.
Or 4, and they're going to go 0-5, 1-4. Now every single one of these games is winnable, I think. Especially with the way the defense has been playing. Okay. Right. Coming now, like I said, great game by them this week. I mean, I was happy with it. The defense showed up, like you said earlier. Robert Quinn, Khalil Mack both showing up. The secondary showing up a little bit. That's awesome.
I almost called everybody I knew. I saw Eddie Jackson make a nice tackle.
I know, right? Me too. I almost dropped dead immediately right there. I'm right there with you with Eddie Jackson. But no, like now this game against the Green Bay Packers at home this week. We just saw Cincinnati put them through the ringer and lose. Cincinnati beat themselves in that game. Yeah. You have 2 opportunities for game-winning field goals, and you piss them both away.
I know.
You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. And Mason Crossbar, I mean, he goes wide left and wide right each one. You literally threw that game away.
Yeah, they did.
It's going to be a tough game this year. This week is going to be a very tough game.
Yeah, it will.
I'm not making my prediction yet, but I'm not putting it out of the realm that the Bears could win this game.
Well, they ran the ball 37 times this week. I would not be surprised if they ran it about the same number next week against the Packers. And one last thing, I always say, people say, well, how about the Lions? They go, the Lions are never going to be good. I almost feel bad for the Lions the way they've lost games this year.
I do. I do.
I mean, I feel bad for them, and then I'm laughing at them. How many times can you lose on last-second field goals?
Oh, my God. And you know what, Dan Campbell, I've been saying this the last couple of weeks about Matt Nagy, where he just drives me absolutely insane. Yeah. I'm tired of hearing, he's a good leader, rah bullshit. Okay, I'm tired of hearing that, Fred. Yeah. You know who's a good leader? Dan Campbell.
He is.
Dan Campbell is a great leader. He's the Lions head coach, and I would go into battle with that guy. Yeah. All right. Matt Nagy, no way. Dan Campbell, that dude is all for his players, and they hired the right guy up there. And hopefully, I mean, they've sucked for so long. Hopefully they sucked for they've sucked for so long. Hopefully they give him a chance and help them to right that ship up there, because the Lions are dog shit, man.
Well, you know what?
Dog shit forever.
They have some offensive weapons. The problem is both sides of the lines are tough for them, but they have some running backs. They have a couple of decent receivers. They've kept every game close.
And that's awesome, because, it's Dan Campbell. That's what it is. It's Dan Campbell getting those guys in the rah-rah mode. And the other thing I want to bring up, I saw a thing earlier today on Facebook and on Twitter. Jamal Williams, their backup running back. They just drafted him. All right. Yesterday before the game and even after the game, he's out there playing catch with people in the stands.
I saw that too.
Taking a field goal, throwing in the ball before and after the game. That is something that fan, that kid, that 9-year-old kid, that 11-year-old girl, that is that 7-year-old boy sitting there that you're playing catch with, they will remember that forever. Yeah. Okay. And you will now be a fan favorite of them for the rest of their lives. They will love you forever.
And it's not only that the fan base, the entire Detroit fan base will grasp onto this guy too.
Right.
And when you see a young guy doing stuff like that, they're going to love that team. But it always takes them forever too. And every time they get decent, something bad happens to that team. So
right. Yeah. They have bad luck. James nails it right on the board. Lions least relevant team in our lifetime in NFL.
There's no doubt about it.
Yes.
Absolutely. The least relevant. Yeah, there's no doubt.
But that was awesome watching that. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was. I appreciate you jumping on with me. I know you're always here with me, but yeah, I had no idea if we were going to be able to get this done or not. But hey, the gods made it possible with the rain
Yeah.
today.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I would have had to do something else,
we
or
were
we would
sitting
have
here
figured it
telling
out.
knock jokes on lag earlier before the show. Hey, it worked out pretty good.
It did. It worked out okay.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
too bad. So why don't we, on that note, why don't we take a spot from our guys at Nick and Ivy, and then I'm going to come back and talk some beer, okay?
Sounds great, man. I'll be out of here as soon as this commercial's done. You guys,
Sounds good.
thanks for having me, Fred. I appreciate it.
Oh, pleasure as always.
Hello, this is Paul from Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. We are located at 1026 South State Street in historic downtown Lockport, Illinois. We are very excited to be partnering up with the FatMike ChicagoSports Show, as well as the 1252 brand, because we are one of the few Chicagoland breweries that embrace sports and sports culture. Come in for a fresh brewed beer made right here in Lockport while catching the game of your favorite team. Stay for the live music that we have booked every weekend, or just come for a cozy atmosphere to enjoy a good conversation with a friend, loved one, or complete stranger. Nick and Ivy makes you feel right at home no matter what the occasion is. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. Visit our website for our up-to-date tap list, or to go shopping on our online store at nickivybrewing.com. That's NIKIVY brewing.com. Come in today for a fresh brewed beer born and raised in Lockport, Illinois.
Got to get back out to Nick and Ivy as they've got tons of great beer. I know that Paul was going to be there bartending today at his own place because the White Sox were playing. He was going to open early. Now he's going to have to probably do that on Tuesday, as the White Sox will be playing Game 4 on Tuesday. 107 first pitch against the Astros. It'll be Carlos Rodon going against Lance McCullers. Won't be easy. We'll see what the White Sox can do. Hopefully force a fifth and deciding game. Listen, after the 0-2 start, the fans obviously would be disappointed if you don't win, but if you can force a fifth game, and then we look towards the future. Ugh. How many years have we said, wait till next year? It used to be the team on the other side of town said, wait till next year. Now it's just a Chicago thing, I think. Oh, and speaking of, we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to that with when we get to What's Up Fred's Can. Some beer stuff, because it is Huebs, Views, and Brews. The new Glarus is going down great. And again, if you get a chance, the Oktoberfest beers are great. I got a refrigerator right next to me here, and I've got a Fest beer from Milk Money. I stopped at Milk Money last Wednesday. Great guys. Every time I go, I miss Eric Pizer. Eric was on with us a couple of weeks ago, the brewmaster over at Milk Money Brewing in LaGrange. But their Fest beer is very, very good. They had an Oktoberfest dinner last Thursday that went very, very well. I saw some pictures of it, so that was very cool. Buckle Down Brewing, which is one of the places I went to a lot, because Buckle Down started before a lot of the other breweries around here began, before Skeleton Key and a couple other ones. And I would go to Buckle Down a lot because Sean Mahoney and Ike Orcutt were running it. Ike is now running it by himself. Sean stepped away. Vicky Reed, who I got to know very, very well, she's now at Skeleton Key, but she was always over at Buckle Down. Buckle Down has done a collaboration with Binny's. Now, this is interesting because usually you see breweries do collaborations with other breweries. Now, Buckle Down did one with Binny's Beverage, and they've got a hazy IPA called a Hexed Hazy, 7.5 hazy IPA for the Mug Club people over at Buckle Down. They can get it on Friday. Saturday, I'm going to try and drive by and pick up some. Very, very good. I haven't been to Buckle Down for a little while. I know they had their Oktoberfest a week or so ago. So check that out. Buckle Down's collaboration with Binny's. Hop Butcher every week. I got on my email, I get an email from Hop Butcher every week telling me what beers they're going to release the following week. The beers coming up this week, a Sunrise. Let me see. This is called, Sunrise Over Northerly Island. It'd be nice if I could read my own writing. Sunrise Over Northerly Island. It's a Pacific Sunrise hopped IPA, 6.25 alcohol by volume. Sounds very, very tasty. All their beers are tasty. And also this week, a fan favorite, the Megabyte, which has the shark on the cover. It's a double IPA, 7.5 alcohol by volume. Those will be available at all your bottle shops. We had Dave Hawley on from the beer cellar last week. They'll be available there. I saw Dave already with the promotion for that, and also at Orange and Brew, Crafted, all of the other breweries and tap shops and tap rooms around. Now, Skeleton Key, which I just mentioned a minute ago, Skeleton Key, I know that Paul and Emily Slayton working, trying to get their place back up and running, but they're not just sitting around. They're doing collaboration beers. I know they did a collaboration with Goose Island beer, and they also did a collaboration with, well, they didn't do a collaboration. They made an Oktoberfest beer, and they had some of it available right off the bat, and now it's available at Bankston Farm. It's the Bankston Farm Oktoberfest, and Bankston Farm, one of those places you bring your kids, you got the pumpkins and all the other things going on. So if you get a chance, take your kids, your grandkids. Maybe I can grab my grandkids now that I'm inheriting and take them over to Bankston Farm. And while we're there and they're enjoying time running around the pumpkins, at least Ellie would have all kinds of fun. I could have an Oktoberfest. That is a Skeleton Key Oktoberfest. They are also working on a collaboration now with Oswego Brewing. And I am so disgusted with myself that I have not stopped at Oswego Brewing. I've had some of their beers. I've not had the opportunity to stop there. Hopefully we'll get the brewers and the owners from Oswego Brewing on coming up in the next month or so. Also, Bubble House Brewing is getting very, very close to opening up. They're in Lyle. Cannot wait. Another brewery in the area. I'm pretty sure it's Lyle. So I can't wait for that one to open up. And then hopefully we'll get the people from Bubble House on. I know they've been working on it for a while. And there was a big opening last week, and this is something that's been building for a while. Dylan, and I want to say his name's Wellington, or it could be Valentine. It's a W, but you never know if it's pronounced with a V. And I know Dylan, I've met him before, but I didn't know how to pronounce his last name. Dylan, I apologize. I know people will get back to me and tell me immediately afterwards. But Dylan actually started the tap room at Prestige Liquors in Westmont. Prestige Liquors was a liquor store. And then with all the craft beer, he said, you know what, why don't we come up with this area here and put some taps in and have a tap room for the local beers. And it worked out very well. Well, Dylan left and he had some partners now. They just opened up the Open Door Tap Room and Bottle Shop in Clarendon Hills. They opened it up last week. I saw pictures last Friday. It was packed, jam-packed, a great place in downtown Clarendon Hills, right by the train. Perfect place. People get off the train, stop at the tap room, have a drink or two on Prospect. So check it out if you get a chance. Tell him you heard about it here, and I will call Dylan. Hopefully we get him on and talk about all the things he's done, first starting with Prestige Liquors and now moving on over to the Open Door Tap Room and Bottle Shop. So that's all very, very cool stuff. Lots of good stuff happening in beer. There always is. And if you're a beer drinker, the next several months, a lot of stouts. As it gets a little colder, a lot of dark stouts, higher alcohol stouts. You may or may not like them. I do. I enjoy them. You don't have to drink as many. You just have a couple, one or two. And they're very, very tasty. Very good. So we'll have a lot more to talk about beer-wise in the next several months here on Huebs Views and Brews. As always, I have something up my can. So let's take a look at it.
Well, maybe it's just because you're ugly.
Ugly? You gotta be kidding me.
Time for What's Up Fred's Can on 1252 Sports Chicago.
Okay, now this is up my can because I'm not sure if it's because I'm softening as an old man or I just don't care anymore. One of the two. Yesterday, Game 3 of the Baseball American League Division Series at Guaranteed Rate Field, John Cusack was there. And one of the guys from Barstool Sports, I want to say it was Barstool Dave. And I'm not the biggest Barstool fan. I haven't listened to them. So I hear a lot. I know some of the guys over at Barstool. I like one or two of the guys a lot. I don't know the other guys. And I don't need Dave to tell me about my pizza, but that's just me. Okay. But John Cusack was at the Sox game and this guy from Barstool went up to him, obviously being videotaped because that's what they always do, and was basically calling out John Cusack for, listen, you can't be on the north side wearing your Cubs stuff and then come on over here. And John Cusack said, I've been in Chicago and I've always been a fan of both teams. Now, for the longest time, I've told everybody, listen, if you come from out of town or, you're not from this area originally. Okay, Tom Waddle, for example. Waddle played for the Bears, but he grew up in Ohio. He's a Cincinnati Reds fan. But working on the radio in Chicago, working on TV, he pulls for the Sox and the Cubs. I can understand that, okay? Sylvie's a Cub fan. Cap's a Cub fan. Jay Hood's a Sox fan. Carmen's a Sox fan. I'm a Sox fan. I have one thing in my basement that is adorned with all kinds of memorabilia. I have one thing, this Cubs, and I have a Ernie Banks Heartland statue. I'm not a Cub fan. I'm a Sox fan. I always say that if you grew up here, you had to pick sides. You can't be a fan of both. But I don't care as much anymore. Listen, you want to be a fan of both, go ahead. But it's up my can now that people are ripping them and ripping John Cusack because he's at both places. I remember that when Cusack first asked for tickets for the Sox when they were in the World Series in 2005, Jerry Reinsdorf was saying, hold it. You're a Cub guy. You're sitting in the front row in 2003 when the Cubs were playing the Marlins. He goes, why am I giving you good seats here? So I understand that. But it's to the point where I don't care anymore. Be a fan of whoever you want. Have as much fun as you want. Do whatever you want to do. Don't bother other people. And that's why it comes up with the guys from Barstool. Just don't bother me. If I was walking in and they were calling me out, I said, just leave me alone. Don't bother me. Would have been my response if I was John Cusack. And another thing with the Cusack thing, I'm a fan. I'm a big John Cusack fan. I've loved many of his movies. I really like a lot of them. And so I'm not going to criticize him. I actually had the opportunity. I did a show at a bar on State Street or Michigan Avenue, I think it was, years ago when the Blackhawks were in the playoffs. And they asked me, they said, listen, can you do a 3-hour show on a Saturday getting ready for the Blackhawks playoffs? I go, fine. I go, who am I doing it with? They said, Chris Chelios. I said, cool. Chelios would be great. This is the first time Chelios, other than an interview, that actually did a show. So I had me and Chris Chelios were there for 3 hours, and an hour into the show, he says, listen, a friend of mine wants to come by. Can we put him on the air? I said, yeah, fine. Who is it? He goes, John Cusack. He goes, he's riding his scooter over and he wants to come over. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. And then I fanboyed with on John Cusack about all the things I've seen him in that I really enjoyed him in. But he was a great guy, had a great time. So listen, just leave the people alone. And whatever you do, if you're at a stadium, don't pick a fight with anybody else in the stadium. I'm getting so tired of looking at these freaking stupid fans getting in fights at ballparks, baseball stadiums, football stadiums. And a lot of times you're getting in fights with fans of the same team. Okay, that's bad enough. Don't get in fights with the opposition. This week, and I say this a lot, and Bears fans, I'm trying not to be rude, but Bears fans treat Packers fans like dog crap on your shoe. That's how they treat Packer fans. Yell and say whatever you want. Don't throw anything at them. Don't push them. Don't hit them. Don't spill a beer on them. Don't do something stupid. Be a respectable fan. I know that's probably asking too much for today's fans. I'm sure at Guaranteed Rate Field yesterday, there were some White Sox fans beating up on Astro fans. Hopefully that didn't happen, and I hope not to see it. It would be nice. Can't we all just get along? I know I'm not the kind of guy that would be saying this in years past. Now I'm older. I don't care. Don't just leave me alone. That's my biggest thing. I have a shirt and it says, don't bother me. I'm watching the game. I should just wear that all the time. Till next week. Hopefully the White Sox are still in the playoffs. Hopefully the White Sox are in the American League Championship Series. And hopefully the Bears can knock off the Packers. Well, a lot more to talk about next Monday. Thanks to Fat Mike for jumping on in. Thanks to you for watching. We'll do it again next week right here on Huebs Views and Brews.